Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naisthiki. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 7, Text 33. Etvatmara Etvatmarama Gurubhir Hridi Chintitangri. Etvatmarama Gurubhir Hridi Chintitangri. Dvandvam charantamumaya tapasabhitaptam. Dvandvam charantamumaya tapasabhitaptam. Kathanta ugraparusham niratam smashane. Kathanta ugraparusham niratam smashane. Tenu namutim avidam stavahata lajjah. Tenu namutim avidam stavahata lajjah. Etu atmarama gurubhir hridi chintitangri. Dvandvam charantamumaya tapasabhitaptam. Kathanta ugraparusham niratam smashane. Tenu namutim avidam stavahata lajjah. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Exalted, self-satisfied persons who preach to the entire world think of your lotus feet constantly within their hearts. However, when persons who do not know your austerity see you moving with Uma, they misunderstand you to be lusty. Or, when they see you wandering in the crematorium, they mistakenly think that you are ferocious and envious. Certainly, they are shameless. They cannot understand your activities. Please repeat. Exalted, self-satisfied persons who preach to the entire world think of your lotus feet constantly within their hearts. However, when persons who do not know your austerity see you moving with Uma, they misunderstand you to be lusty. Or, when they see you wandering in the crematorium, they mistakenly think that you are ferocious and envious. Certainly, they are shameless. They cannot understand your activities. Purport. Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. Vaishnavanam yadha Shambhu. It is therefore said, Vaishnavera kriya mudra vignena bujaya. Even the most intelligent person cannot understand what a Vaishnava like Lord Shiva is doing or how he is acting. Those who are conquered by lusty desires and anger cannot estimate the glories of Lord Shiva, whose position is always transcendental. In all the activities associated with lusty desires, Lord Shiva is an implement of Atma Rama. Ordinary persons, therefore, should not try to understand Lord Shiva and his activities. One who tries to criticize the activities of Lord Shiva is shameless. Umajnanatimirandhasya gnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapreshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So this is another verse of glorification of Lord Shiva. This happens during the time when the ocean of milk is being churned for the nectar, and so they had to go to Lord Shiva because there was Kalakuta poison, and so the demigods are praising Lord Shiva like this. Etu Atmarama Gurubhir Hridi Chintidangri Dvandvam. There are people who are Atmaramas. Atmarama means who are self-satisfied. They find satisfaction in their Atma. They are not material Ramas. Find satisfaction in matter. So that means very highly elevated people. And Gurubhihi, those who are the spiritual masters, those who preach to the entire world. So this class of people, Yetu Atmarama Gurubhihi, what they do? In their hearts, Hridi Chintidangri Dvandvam. Angri Dvandvam. Angri means lotus feet. Dvandvam, the two paired lotus feet. They always think in their hearts. Hridi Chintitangri Dvandvam. Who are these people? Yetu Atmarama Gurubhihi. They always think of your lotus feet. Hridi Chintitangri Dvandvam. But there are people who are Ugra Parusham. Ugra Parusham means they are not gentle. Ugra. They are not gentle people. So, but what they do, on the contrast, they see you wandering with Uma. Umaya Charantam. In the crematorium, they see you wandering with Uma. Even though you are tapasa abhitaptam, you are the most austere, but when they see you charantam umaya nunam niratam smashane in the crematorium, they mistake you. They do not understand your activities, and they mistakenly think that you are ferocious and envious. They are definitely shameless. Tava hata lajjaha. They are shameless people. So Prabhupada mentions how Lord Shiva, his activities are most misunderstood. He is actually a topmost Vaishnava. Srimad Bhagavatam confirms later in, I think, 11th or 12th canto. Nimnaganam yadha Ganga, Devanam achyuto yadha, Vaishnavanam yadha Shambhu, Purananam idam tataha. What it means? Nimnaganam yadha Ganga. Of all the flowing rivers, just as Ganga is the best. Similarly, Devanam achyuto yadha. Lord Achyuta is the foremost, worshipable of all devas. Similarly, Vaishnavanam yadha Shambhu. Shambhu or Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. And Purananam idam tataha. Of all the Puranas, which is the best Purana? Srimad Bhagavatam, the spotless Purana. So this is the position of Lord Shiva. So sometimes people, they try to pitch us against Lord Shiva. Oh, you're all worshippers of Vishnu, so you don't like Lord Shiva. There used to be a colleague of mine who was a Shaivite, and he always tried to pick this particular aspect because I am following this, and then he would try to ignite some fire. Hey, you all worship Vishnu only, you don't like Lord Shiva. And he tries to ignite that spirit in me. But I would always tell him, see, you cannot find a better devotee of Lord Shiva than me. Hey, how is that? You're all Vishnu devotees. I told him, so Lord Shiva is the best devotee of Vishnu. And he couldn't digest that. Hey, you're all speaking whatever you want to speak. No, I'm speaking from Shastra. Vaishnavanam yadha Shambhu. He has a disciplic succession. So we worship Lord Shiva better than how you worship. Because a devotee of Lord Vishnu is considered, or worshipping Lord Vishnu's devotee is considered superior to worshipping Vishnu. So our worship of Lord Shiva is better than your worship. In fact, Lord Shiva becomes more pleased with us than you. Why? Because you are independently pitching him against, in competition with Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu, which is an offense. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahmarudradi Daivataihi Samatvenaiva Viksheta Sa Pashandi Bhaved Dhruvam. If one pitches people, great demigods like Brahmarudradi Daivataihi Samatvenaiva Viksheta Yastu Narayanam Devam, they bring them on the platform of Narayana, Sa Pashandi Bhaved Dhruvam. He is to be considered as an atheist, infidel, to be barred from the Vedic culture. So that is the strict standard. But we worship Lord Shiva as a Vaishnava. But not many people understand his position when he goes around in the crematorium. People, they worship Lord Shiva to get some material benefits. That is why he is called Ashutosha. Ashutosh means very soon, Asutosh, he becomes pleased and gives them material benedictions. And it is said that benedictions actually are a cheating. Why? Because his real mercy is reserved for those who want to advance in Krishna consciousness. For those who want to advance materially, he gives immediate blessings. Okay, you don't disturb, just go ahead. Take it and go. Don't disturb me. But he is very eager to give his blessings, real blessings to the devotees. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is this descendant of Prithu Maharaj. We know Prithu Maharaj, one of the incarnations of the Lord, was a great emperor. And one of the descendants was a king called Prachina Barhi. So he has 10 sons called Prachetas. So he orders them. So this Prachina Barhi is a Prajapati. Prajapati means one who is given the responsibility to, propagate these children, these living entities throughout the universe. So he orders his sons to take the task of populating this whole universe. So they just don't go ahead with the task just like that. They have to go and get the blessings of the Lord Vishnu. So they go to perform austerities in this place. It's a very serene lake. And when they go to that lake, they're about to perform austerities, Lord Shiva comes and gives them darshan. And then this Vidura is saying, Maitreya is telling the story to Vidura, and Vidura says, how come Lord Shiva is so advanced, he doesn't usually give darshan like that to anybody and everybody? How come these people got the darshan? How come they got the real blessing of Lord Shiva? And there the Maitreya explains a few set of verses which actually tells how Lord Shiva is actually pleased. So there are three verses which are of significance there. In Srimad Bhagavatam, this comes in 4th canto, 24th chapter. There it is said, any person, this is Lord Shiva telling the Prachetas, any person who is surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the controller of everything, material nature as well as living entity, is actually very dear to me. So who is dear to Shiva? Any person who is surrendered to Krishna is very dear to Shiva. Lord Shiva himself is saying. And then he says, you are all devotees of the Lord, and as such, I appreciate that you are as respectable as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. I know in this way that the devotees also respect me, and that I am dear to them. Thus, no one can be as dear to the devotees as I am. And so one of the purports there in those verses, Prabhupada mentions very interesting points. He says, these words of Lord Shiva indicate that he knows what the princes were going to do. They were going to worship Lord Vishnu by austerities. So Lord Shiva became very pleased. This indicates that a person who is not yet a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but who desires to serve the Supreme Lord, receives the benedictions of the demigods, headed by the chief demigod, Lord Shiva. So if you want to receive actual benediction from the demigods, what do you have to do? You have to worship Lord Krishna. Thus, a devotee of the Lord does not need to try to please the demigods separately. Simply by worshipping the Supreme Lord, a devotee can please all of them. Nor does he have to ask the demigods for material benedictions, for the demigods, being pleased with the devotee, automatically offer him everything that he needs. So we don't have to separately worship. Sometimes devotees, when they initially come to Krishna consciousness, they feel hesitation. Oh, that demigod will feel bad if I stop worshipping him now. I'm offering puja. Let me also put his photo and do some little bit of puja. Not needed. Mamekam Sharanam Braja, Krishna says. And automatically the demigods are ready, willing to give benedictions, whatever you need. And so Prabhupada tells further here. The demigods are servants of the Lord, and they are always prepared to help a devotee in all circumstances. Therefore, Srila Bilvamangal Thakur said that if one has unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Lord, the goddess of liberation is ready to serve him, to say nothing of the gods of material opulences. Indeed, all the demigods are simply waiting for an opportunity to serve the devotee. Thus, there is no need for a devotee of Krishna to endeavor for material opulence or liberation. So, a devotee gets everything, whether it is liberation or opulence, automatically. Yavai sadhana sampattihi purushartha chetushtaye tayabina tadapnoti naro narayanashrayah. Narayanashraya, a person who has taken shelter of Narayana, all sadhana sampattis that are available because of purusharthas, chetuh purusharthas, they are automatically there for devotee. They are given by the Lord as required. If there is any shortage, it is only our willingness to render proper service to the Lord. Otherwise, everything is there. So that's what Prabhupada says. So the other important aspect of this verse is Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigneha Na Bhujaya. Vaishnava's activities are often misunderstood many times. Like when Prabhupada came to the West, even his own God brothers were criticizing. Oh, he's doing all things which are outside of the realm of acceptable realm of devotional service. He's going and preaching to the mlechas. So they were thinking that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Prithivite Achayata Nagaradigram, Sarvatra prachara hoibe moranam. Whatever town and villages are there in this world, everywhere my holy name will be chanted. So they were thinking, oh, he might have referred only to Bengal or maybe to India. Unless somebody goes and preaches, how will it happen? And Prabhupada understood that. His spiritual master understood that. So they were criticizing, oh, he may be a businessman. He knows how to start an organization, how to raise some funds, how to mobilize some troops. That doesn't mean that he knows the actual message. Like that, they were criticizing him. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a personality called Pundarika Vidyanidhi. So he comes to Navadvip during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time. Very rich man. So, but except Mukunda, nobody knew actual position of Pundarika Vidyanidhi. He's a great Vaishnava. But externally appearing as a rich man, a materially opulent, sensually indulging personality kind of person. So, Mukunda, one time he takes Gadadhar Pandit to go and see Pundarika Vidyanidhi. So Gadadhar Pandit says, okay, he is taking me to see a great personality, let me go see. And so he goes to the house, he enters the house, and then there he sees Pundarika Vidyanidhi with his opulent dressing, silk clothes, shining clothes, very expensive clothes. He is reclining on his bedstead, a very opulent bed, topped with 3-tier canopy and spread with red satin cloth and pillows and nicely combed hair. And there is, he was chewing this pan and the stains of red appearing on the mirror, and he's laughing at it, and he is being fanned with peacock fans by servants and fragrances everywhere. And then Gadadhar Pandit starts to think what kind of personality he is, what kind of Vaishnava he is. He seems to be a pounds and shillings man. He seems to be a materialistic person, engaged in sense gratification. And now Mukunda detects that what is going on in the mind of Gadadhar Pandit. So he starts to recite one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. This verse is told by Uddhava, glorifying Lord Krishna's mercy. Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam jigham shayapaya yadyapya sadhvi lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tatonyam kamba dayalum sharanam rajema. So he says, it means, Uddhava is saying, who else is more merciful than Krishna? Kamba dayalum sharanam rajema, that I can take shelter of. There is no more merciful personality than Krishna. Why? Because aho bakiyam, this Putana, sister of Baka, Stanakala Kutam, she smeared this most poisonous substance on her breast and tried to feed Krishna, and she killed people like that, babies like that. And with an evil intent, she offered Krishna, and Krishna, because she showed a tinge of motherly affection. Dhatri means nurse, because she nursed Krishna. So Krishna gave her the position of a mother in Goloka. And just imagine the kind of merciful Lord Krishna is. Who else more merciful than Krishna that I can find, who I can worship? And that is the verse that Mukunda recites. And then Pundarika Vidyanidhi starts to hear that verse, and he goes deep into consciousness of Krishna. He loses his external consciousness, starts to behave madly, starts to rip off his shirt, falls down on the floor, thrashing his legs, tears pouring from his eyes, hair standing on their end on his body. And in this way, he goes into madness, thinking about Krishna. Go on, chant about Krishna. And Gadadhar Pandit looks at this. He says, I've never seen anybody having displayed this kind of ecstatic emotions about Krishna. And then he realizes how advanced Pundarika Vidyanidhi is. And he comes back to consciousness after 6 hours of ecstasy in Krishna consciousness. And then Gadadhar Pandit, he realizes his mistake. And he says, oh, I've committed a great mistake to this great Vaishnava. I have to get initiated from him. And later Pundarika Vidyanidhi initiates Gadadhar Pandit. Pundarika Vidyanidhi actually, who is this Pundarika Vidyanidhi in Krishna Leela? Vrishabhanu, the father of Radharani. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would dream of his name. Pundarika, Pundarika, where are you? I'm yearning to see you. When can I see you? Oh, my dear father. Anybody who chants your name, he gets immediately purified. Your name is so glorious. So that is the position of Pundarika Vidyanidhi, but he appeared like that. So sometimes looks can be deceiving. So that is why it is said, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigneha na Bujaya. A pure devotee sometimes may appear to be doing something out of convention. But we should not mistake with our imperfect brain. In Chaitanya Bhagavat it is said, Nityananda Prabhu is an Avadhuta. Avadhuta means he is not needed to be following any conventions of Varnashram Dharma. There are some rules and regulations of Varnashram Dharma you have to follow. But Avadhuta, he does not follow because he is already liberated. Medicine is for those who are diseased. For those who are liberated from disease, there is no medicine. So it is said in Chaitanya Bhagavat, I read out that shloka, Ye tanhare priti kare, se kare amare satya 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 vipra. Kahila tomare madira yavani, yadi nityananda dhare, tadhapi brahmara vandya kahila tomare. So it is said, one who loves him loves me. One who loves Nityananda Prabhu loves me. I tell you, O Brahmana, this truth. The truth, the truth. Even if Nityananda goes to a liquor house or associates with an outcast girl, he is worshipable for Lord Brahma. That is the position of Nityananda Prabhu. And that is the position of a Vaishnava. Of course, for ordinary neophytes like us, we should not imitate. There is Anusarana and Anukarana. Anukarana means imitate. Oh, just because Nityananda Prabhu did this, because Pundarika Vidyanidhi did this, because Prabhupada had done this, I can also do. No, our duty is to follow. These are only exceptions. Only when an exceptional situation happens, a Vaishnava is able to determine, yes, I can do this for the purpose of preaching the mission of the Lord. But we cannot do that. If we think, oh, I have now become advanced, I can give association and I can change these people, I can get corrupted. I can become like them. We have seen many people like that getting away from the path. But when it is ordered by a Vaishnava, we can do that. There was one devotee, Prabhupada's disciple, Gurudas Prabhu. He was explaining. It's very interesting. I'll read out as it is very... I won't be able to do justice to what he said if I tell in my words. So he said, he's speaking. Prabhupada told us how his Guru Maharaja had gotten somebody to buy cigarettes for a visiting scholar from Germany. His Guru Maharaj would do such a thing for preaching. Similarly, when I was in Russia, there was scarcity of food, and Prabhupada told me, you can even eat meat if you have to, but keep this preaching going on. I didn't have to, but the principle was there. On one Ekadashi, Prabhupada said, on Ekadashi, my Guru Maharaj fed everybody. Based on that example, Prabhupada had us observe Ekadasi and at the same time cook and prasadam distribution program. So Prabhupada and his Guru Maharaj, they were very practical. They were very preaching oriented. They were not sticking to conventional things that would be ordinarily stuck to. Of course, these are all extreme things, only to be applied in an extreme situation, that too when you have a proper authorized order from the spiritual master. But you can get a glimpse. People might misunderstand, oh, what is this? But you won't understand the inner mentality of a Vaishnava. There's another devotee, Nanda Das Prabhu, he was mentioning. So there was this concert, right, in San Francisco. Prabhupada was invited. There was Allen Ginsberg. So they were doing this concert, rock dance, mantra rock. And so Prabhupada was there on the stage. And he was trying to adjust his microphone. And it was falling off. Some such thing, some technical difficulty was there. And it had to be tied with some kind of thread or something like that. Something had to be used. And Prabhupada was stuck. He was not able to play or whatever it needed attention. And so there was Allen Ginsberg. So Allen Ginsberg said, I can actually take off my shoelace and give it to you. You can tie it. And then Prabhupada, obviously, he was a Paramahamsa. He didn't want to do that. And he turned to this disciple, Naranaran Das Vishwakarma, take off your sacred thread and give it to me. And Naranaran, okay, here is my opportunity to show my sacrifice as a warrior. Here is my sacred thread. Take it. And he gave it to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada used that to tie to the microphone and started to speak and chant. So now, taking off a sacred thread, oh my God, it's like giving up your connection with the spiritual master, because sacred thread is your connection to the spiritual master. You're bound to the spiritual master's instructions, orders. Taking off means, am I giving up my initiation? Am I giving up my being a Brahmana? But he didn't think any of that. Nor did Prabhupada think any of that. He was being practical. It needed to be done. So these kind of things, we have to, that's why any Vaishnava, when he does an activity, there cannot be criticism. He's always in touch with the Lord. The Lord is dictating, the Vaishnava is acting. Of course, we are referring to a pure Vaishnava, not ordinary Vaishnavas. As I said, we have to follow the instructions, unless it is explicitly conveyed to us to transgress something, some convention. So the other aspect of this verse, here it is said that people who are hata lajjaha, people who are lusty, they cannot understand in all the activities associated with lusty desires. Lord Shiva is an implement of Atmarama. Ordinary persons, therefore, should not try to understand Lord Shiva and his activities. One who tries to criticize the activities of Lord Shiva is shameless. So this is a very important thing. One who is in the clutches of lust, they cannot understand these advanced activities of a Vaishnava, like Lord Shiva and his pastimes with Uma, or even Radha Krishna pastimes. People who are in clutches of lust, they will misunderstand. That is why, you see, Srila Prabhupada, he never discussed the pastimes of Radha Krishna publicly in public lectures. If you see only in some portions of Nectar of Devotion, revealed portions of Chaitanya Charitamrita purports. So for serious people, it is there. The wealth of Krishna consciousness, the depth of Krishna consciousness in terms of the conjugal rasa of Radha Krishna and the pastimes with the Krishna and gopis, they're all there. But it is accessible only for those who are serious, who want to advance, who want to understand really the actual mellow of conjugal rasa. But Prabhupada never discussed publicly, because there is a chance that people misunderstand. They will think, oh, Radha Krishna pastime also is like ordinary, mundane pastime. Like Prabhupada one time mentioned, a neophyte, once hearing about the name Radha, he was thinking about the wife of his barber, who is also named Radha. So, like that. Even Sukadeva Goswami was hesitating to mention the name Radharani with his mouth because he felt unqualified. That is why he said, Anaya Radhate Nunam. And that is the position of Radharani. But people who don't understand, they bring Radharani and the gopis to their platform. And there is a class of people called Sahajiyas. Sahajiya means Sahaj. Sahaj means natural. Or they take devotional service to be too easy. Too easy means, actually devotional service means Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhimbina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpata Eva Kalpate. Devotional service means following Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim. If you perform devotional service without following any of these rules and regulations, Vina, Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpata Yaiva Kalpate. Utpata means it becomes disturbance to the society. Like the Sahajiyas. They imitate these pastimes of Radha Krishna. Oh, Krishna did, so I can also do. And they act as if they have advanced ecstatic symptoms of Krishna Prema. When they chant, you see some tears. They sing and they emote some kind of postures they put. This is called Sahajiya mentality. So Prabhupada said we have to keep away from them. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, later on, his pure mission got derailed by so many apasampradayas, 11 apasampradayas. This Prabhupada mentions in one lecture. There, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has actually identified all these apasampradayas, owls, bowls, Sakibeki, Gauranga Nagari, Sahajiyas, Jata Goshanis. So all these kind of apasampradayas they have delineated. And Prabhupada mentioned the Sahajiya is one apasampradaya who maintain illicit connections in the name of Krishna consciousness, who take Krishna consciousness to be cheap. And then there is other important apasampradaya who is Jata Goswami. Jata Goswami means they consider that by birth they are Goswamis. They come from Goswami families and they think, oh, because I am descendant of Goswami, now I have become Goswami. And anybody who is not born in Goswami family should not be a Goswami. But actually, meaning of Goswami is what? Huh? One who controls his senses. Swami of Go. One who is master of the senses. Without that, if you artificially raise somebody to a Goswami status, it becomes a mockery. Just like you artificially put somebody who is not qualified in the post of a judge, what will happen? He will bring disrepute to the whole law and order, justice system. Similarly, you put somebody as, you adorn somebody as a Goswami without having that qualification, he will cause disrepute. It becomes a mockery. That is why the whole Hindu system is mocked because of this. So anyway, it is said that people who are on the platform of lust, they should not try to understand these advanced activities of Vaishnava, Lord Shiva and Uma, or the activities of Radha Krishna. That is why Prabhupada, when he gave that book, Krishna book, he laced it with so much of philosophy. Even when he talks about the pastimes of gopis and Krishna, because you first read Prabhupada's philosophy, you properly understand the position of Krishna and Radharani and the position of Krishna and gopis, only then you can properly understand. Otherwise, there is a chance to be mistaken. I'll stop here. Any questions or comments anyone has what we discussed? Yeah, Raghu. Hmm. So his question is Vyasadeva has written many Puranas, and in each Purana, a personality separate from Krishna is glorified as the Supreme, and each of them gives their own version of how they are Supreme and how everything originated from that, and some instances being quoted. So, how do we understand why Lord Vyasadeva has given? The answer is it is different Puranas are meant for different classes of people. Puranas are classified into three classes, three categories. Puranas in mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So, people who are in mode of ignorance, if you give them only Puranas in mode of goodness, they will not worship. They will not accept it because they don't want to worship Vishnu. It's too austere for them. They want to worship somebody who is like them. So, Shiva is glorified in those Puranas. The idea is not to leave anybody. Everybody should be under the Vedic regulation. If you leave everybody, they will become like animals without any regulation. At least let them be under some kind of Vedic scripture. Gradually they can be elevated. That is why these personalities are elevated in these Puranas, so that people who like these personalities, at least they'll stick to those personalities and follow the Vedic scriptures. So that is the idea, to save people from becoming atheists and animals, to keep them under the scriptures. So that gradually they'll perform some austerities, and by the mercy of this Lord Shiva and other personalities, they can become purified and come to mode of goodness. So it is said in one of the Puranas, I'll quote it also. If there is a contradiction between these Puranas about any point, about somebody being the supreme or some point, similar thing being contradicted in different things, then you should reconcile by picking the version of the Vishnu Puranas. So it is the axiom mentioned in the Puranas. If there is a contradiction, you should resolve that, reconcile that by picking the version from the Vishnu Puranas. Okay. So I'll send you that also. That statement is there in Puranas. So it's primarily meant for different classes of people, and who are not intelligent, they will fall for their own set of Puranas, glorify their own personality. But who is intelligent understands that ultimately Lord Vishnu is the supreme. Yeah, that fighting you cannot avoid. Fighting, even if without that you cannot avoid. Even without that, people will become animals. Animal kingdom means you'll see so much of fights, dogs barking against each other. So there will be fights either way, but it's a little better fight. It's a little civilized fight. Sometimes people say, "Oh, better, Christians and Muslims, they have only one God. Why we have so many gods?" But actually, you see in Christianity, so many groups, so many sects, hundreds of sects are there. Each church has their own belief following. They all fight with each other. Muslims also. Countries, they follow different things. Even Muslim countries, they are against each other. So, fighting you cannot avoid. This is the nature of the material world. There is a purpose why the Vyasadeva had done that. He got his chastisement because of that from Narada Muni, but it was what was dictated by the Lord. He did it. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Rama worshipped Lord Shiva. Yeah, see, I always give this example. Say a home minister is being felicitated in a big function. It's home minister's function, it's felicitation function. And chief minister is called as a chief guest for that felicitation ceremony. And he's being invited to speak. And the chief minister takes the mic and starts to say, "Oh, this such and such is the greatest person I have ever met. Even I cannot do activities that he does. I depend on him." So he glorifies like that, isn't it? Does it mean that the chief minister's position has become lower than the home minister? No. But the chief minister, he praises the qualities of the home minister. Because really the home minister's qualities are so great. But the position wise, he is always the chief minister. So Rama glorifying Lord Shiva is as a great Vaishnava. To worship him as a great Vaishnava. So one should not misunderstand that to mean that Lord Shiva is now the supreme. Okay. Randaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.